Hi, my name is Indra Gunawan, and today I would like to present a presentation on how to communicate to a diverse audience. The purpose of this presentation is to give information on the thing that you have to consider when you communicate with diverse audience. First, I would like to start with identifying the objective of this presentation. Number one, we need to define what diversity is, and we need to know what can be considered to be part of diversity. Number two, we need to know why it is important to consider diversity. And number three would be the advantage and disadvantage of having diversity in our workplace. And the last one, number four, what are the things to consider when communicating with diverse audience. Okay, let's start with defining diversity. Diversity is just differences in social attributes within people in an organization. These differences can be in the form of race, can be in the form of religion, can be in the form of age and gender. Some people think differently because of these differences, and one culture shouldn't think that it is better than the rest of the culture. They have to think these differences as merely just differences. There are some negative conduct related to diversity. First is racial stereotypes. Racial stereotypes is just how people generalize one race, how they generalize of that race, how they behave, and how they conduct themselves. There is nobody benefit from racial stereotypes, and most of the time it is wrong. On certain time, maybe it can be acceptable. The second part of the example of negative conduct in diversity is religion misunderstanding. Some people are just being ignorant, and instead of looking at the fact, instead of understanding another religion, they just sounded their opinion. And this misunderstanding is just cannot be accepted because it's more subjective than representing a fact. And we also have we categorize generation, like the age. For example, there's a Generation X, there's baby boomers, and there's a Generation Y. We often group these people based on their age and their characteristic. Like how they perceive what is important and how they perceive what is priority in their life. Okay, so we are moving to a second objective, which is why diversity is important to be considered. We are living in a diverse society, so we need to interact with each other. We are a social being. That means we need each other to live. We cannot live without each other. So, like it or not, we have to have an interaction between these diverse people. Because of this diversity, people have different ideas, and these different ideas contribute to new ideas and a better standard of living, of course. Because one party may come out with a better solution to a problem than the other party, and we just adopt that solution. If we don't consider diversity, it can cause miscommunication, because some people, when we try to communicate in the whole group, in the whole audience with a big range of diversity, some party may not may not understand what we try to communicate, and before we communicate, we have to research on a way how we are able to communicate to the whole, and not just some part of the audience. by considering diversity, we are also considering living in harmony. Because if we don't care about diversity, we don't care about different cultures, then there's no interaction between people, there's no understanding between people with a different background. So it's kind of hard to achieve harmony. And like I said before, if we are able to communicate better, then we can work together more efficient. Okay, the third will be the advantage and disadvantage of diversity in the workplace. Let's start with advantages first. Because of this diversity, we can generate better idea because there are so many different views. We can pick one of them. It's kind of like a brainstorming, and it creates understanding of the culture and social groups because people have to interact with each other. So in a time they will get to know each other and understand each other better. Because of this interaction between people, they learn about each other, so they know their background and one know their background. So it's kind of like you learning from their culture, you learning from their differences. And again, in a company context, if you have a different set of people with different background, it's good for you because it shows that your company has no discrimination. They show that the company care about the quality of people rather than racial stereotype or some those silly region. Now we move to a disadvantage of having diversity in the workplace. Well, it could create reverse discrimination. By I mean what that is, for example, we heard about this affirmative action in which there's a quota for certain race and certain background, cultural background. Some employee that are qualified experientially, they have to compete with the same people in their bracket, because if their brackets already fill up, then they cannot be employed. They cannot, for example, go to school. If we know back in the days, some university applied this affirmative action. Because of these different backgrounds, people have to work with each other, and there might be some barriers between them. So in order for them to work efficiently, you have to overcome these barriers first, and it might take more times. So there's an issue within efficiency here. And many companies apply their diversity program, and instead of for the purpose of improving employee understanding between each other, it's just merely to get them a better reputation and better financial goals. And again, some people believe that there's no evidence that this training program, and diversity program, it's actually work for the company. Okay. Now, the last point of this objective is what to consider when communicating with a diverse audience. First, we need to learn their cultural norm, because by understanding their culture, we know them better. So we know what the point that we cannot touch, what the point that we have to consider, what are the differences in there. And never assume that you know all about the other cultures. Just think as a learning process. Think that you have to learn all these new cultures. Use words that include rather than exclude. For example, if you have meeting with managers, you may say like he to represent managers, but that is not true. There's probably many females managers too. you just generalizing thing that managers are all male, which is not true. And you have to learn the demographic of your audience, what are the differences between your audience, the age, the race, or their culture. Never use humor that put down any particular groups. And when you have assumption about people, you better not keep the assumption, because it will affect the way you communicate with them. So you have to come out with a positive attitude and just drop those assumptions. Some people may have difficulty understanding you. For example, like if you just spoke to them, so it is better if you use other methods to relay your information. For example, you can use pictures, you can use graphic, you can use chart. So some people might understand better that way. Okay. Now I would like to summarize this presentation by first starting from the point. We need to understand that diversity is differences among people, and we need to accept these differences and work toward unity. These differences can be in the form of race, gender, religion, and culture, and we have to have attitude that we always want to learn, and we have to prepare to change our assumption, and we have to understand that diversity bring different idea, different different knowledge that can improve people's way of living. Diversity may cause disadvantage. We need to consider disadvantage and learn from them, so we can find a solution. We can better ourselves and try not to fall into the same problem again. You need to consider your audience demographic and consider positive conscious action to deal with diverse audience. Well, that's all my presentation for today.